Okay, everyone. Let's test out the sound here. All right, that works. And then if I hit this, you guys should see my tired mug. Let me just push that down. That's working too. Okay, good. We are back to the old software, the one that worked way better. So I am happy about that. Now, let's just go into here, and that works, and that works. So I need to make that sidebar a little wider. Move that in there. How is Charles? Charles is good, although he's not sleeping as much as a little baby should. So we're figuring that out now. Broken sleep I'm fine with, right? Because, I work from home. I kind of, in a way, set a lot of my own hours. So that's all well and good. But just like him sleep a little bit more. But thanks for asking. All right, we got everything, I think, set up while people slowly pile in. Let me just say that, again, if you guys are new here, my name is Michael Noss. I'm a chartered market technician and quantitative trader. This is my live stream where once a week I go through the markets. We try to figure out what's going on in crypto markets, FX, stock markets. Try to find a couple names that we're interested in trading. And then, as always, this is I got to trim that. But yeah, this is a preview for what I do over at statsedgetrading.com, which you can check out in the description below. Basically, I take all of this information that I'm about to gather, I slap it together into a blog post that gets uploaded to that site every night. And for $2 a day, that's people get to see what I'm watching, what I think about all the different types of, basically everything in the markets, on top of my scans and a little trading community that we have. I will say it's not a signal service, right? I don't really believe in those, but it is a way to kind of hang out with traders and, to kind of look over my shoulder to see, either get a second point of view of your own market analysis, or, if you're learning, you can see how someone who trades the markets looks at them daily. I was a little late today because I'm still watching this saga. I don't know if you guys seen it with CoffeeZilla and SafeMoon. It's been an absolute delight, absolutely hilarious to watch. But let us just get right into it now. So we're going to go into here, and let's go into the crypto markets. I always like to start into the crypto markets here. We are just trying out this time zone. I know this time zone's better for some and worse for other. Basically trying to figure out when the best time to stream is total. Considering, it would be interesting to have Sundays as kind of like a family day type of thing. So that's why we're playing around with the times. You can see they're changing a little bit here and there. Once we nail something down on Saturday that seems to work for myself and the most amount of people, that will be kind of what we go with. And, I always like to say this, but the reason I like to do this as a live stream is I like to communicate. So, if I'm doing an analysis on something and someone has a question, if I'm doing, looking at a stock and I pass by it and you go, oh, well, why didn't you pick that? Let me know. Let's have a chat. And then also at the end, when I'm doing my own scanning, if you have any stocks or cryptos or anything you want me to look at, feel free to post them in the room. Obviously not investment advice. I'm just some guy on the internet, blah, 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 blah. Right. So here on Bitcoin, this thing's been all over the place. I was worried. You can see the last note I had here for the Stats Edge Pro members. I was worried that this little drop down here was a bear trap, but we were basically looking at this as a potential overall bear flag, right? We had, very typical bear flag, a big strong move down, and then just sideways consolidation. And then it was kind of basing or putting in another flag at the bottom here. So breaking through that, I wonder if that would break this all-important 30,000 level and push us lower. Ever since then, it's just been an absolute mess. So full disclosure, I am short some Bitcoin in the kind of 40,000 area, basically pretty much exactly where we are right here. So, this is kind of what's to be so far, really nothing, right? My stop, I think now I'm just going to lower it above this kind of crazy spike that occurred in through here. If we end up bouncing above that, then that's when I kind of have to go out. But really, I guess from last week when we were talking, Bitcoin did nothing, but it actually did a whole lot of stuff. So it's just been a bit of a choppy mess. So I'm going to remove that because that doesn't look like it's a bear trap anymore. My notes are just going to be, still looks like a bear flag. And you'll see me do this a lot where I kind of swipe over the whole screen like that again, because all of these screenshots I kind of tidy up nicely and I throw into a nice blog post so you can scroll quickly and see my thoughts on the market. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Hilarious that ApeCoin has actually been one of my best investments for a while. You can see the note that I have aped into this at 13. We were watching this in the room here. Just basically, opened up at 8 and then rocketed from here. At least this is where Kraken's or Bitfinex has his data, which was the longest back I could find. I don't know if there's another place that has more data, but that TrendSpider has access to. But then we had this nice kind of bull flag pullback. We broke that. That's where I got involved in some. And then when it broke over this level, I got involved more. Instant spike over to nearly at the highs and then pull back. And now we're back at these highs. So really for my trade on this personally, I think, right, you just got to watch this. If we can't get over this and we come back down to my entry, I'll probably just take that as a wash trade and move on with my life. But the hope is that on this go, we break these prior highs and continue higher. But again, I always like to say this as kind of a full disclosure with crypto. I don't know what half of these things do. I do have a fair amount of professional crypto experience. I worked for a company that built a trading bot, and they were a miner, and they were a custodian. They were basically trying to combine all these things together in a company. I consulted with them for a number of years. So I do have a lot of experience with the crypto world. But to be honest, I don't go and I don't research all of these individual coins and what they do. So just full disclosure, if I'm buying something and you're like, that's a weird coin that does a weird thing, just know that I probably don't know that. I look at them purely as a chart. And the reason I'm comfortable doing that is I do that with everything. I'm a chartered market technician. My CMT's always right up there. So my belief is more that the market moves based off of supply and demand and not based off of stories and fundamentals and things like that. That's just kind of my philosophy. At the same time, I always just say, okay, more so than stocks, I think it matters a little bit less in the crypto world because there is no close, there is no halt, there's none of these things. As long as it's liquid enough, as long as we've got a liquid enough security, I can put my stop down here at my entry point and I can completely and utterly walk away and not have to worry at all about anything, right? Which is one reason why I always, I've said this before. I know people are probably tired of me ranting about this, but even if you're not a crypto trader right now, and even if you don't want to be a crypto trader, take $100 and open up a crypto account, right? And that's $100. Again, if you're trading, $100 shouldn't be a crap ton of money, right? It's why, again, Stats Edge Trading, link in the description below, is only $2 a day. I wanted to keep it, insanely inexpensive. But the reason that I say you should open up this account is because I think that eventually stocks are going to move into a more crypto way of trading. where there's companies like FTX right now is trying to tokenize all of these different stocks. So they're trying to make it so that you can trade a tokenized version of Tesla or Apple or whatever, and eventually I'm sure the whole market across every country in the world is going to have some sort of tokenized aspect. So as a trader, I think you kind of have to get used to a 24-hour market. And the pushback I always get from that is I don't want to get up in the middle of the night and check my positions and blah blah blah. But the way I look at it is if you're doing that, you're probably trading too big anyway, right? I always have there's an old trading adage that if you feel the need to wake up in the middle of the night and like check the news for whatever your security is, you're probably trading too large. The other thing is that, right, at least in Kraken, and I'm sure if Kraken can do it, a lot of the other ones can do it, you can set up conditional orders. So for example, when I got into Apier, I basically could tell the system, and I could, obviously any coin, I could say, hey, if it breaks $13, I want you to send out a limit order to try to get me some. And then if that limit order gets filled, I want you to put a stop under 10, which this was the last swing low. That's where my stop was. So you should be able to just check periodically whenever that is, set up your orders, and move on with your day. There's an argument should be for that's how you should trade stocks as well. But again, just take $100. You don't need to. That's the beauty of you don't need your $25,000 accounts and all this kind of stuff. You can do it with much less. But you notice I didn't add that to. I didn't do the screenshot of that because there's really, I'm in it. I told everyone in the room I'm in it. There's really nothing to do with that there. So KNC is another one that I got in this week. I always say if there's one setup I could trade forever, it is prior resistance that becomes support, and then it bounces off that. So I'm in there kind of somewhere around here. I think it's like 425 or so. Again, and just playing off that, we had prior resistance here. We broke it. We pulled down. We based around it. And we pushed up. I think it was the midweek video I talked about that. But again, not going to add that to the list. This OGN, I think I am going to add to the watch list and take a screenshot. Because you can see I was doing a little bit of a declining trend line there. But it is just putting in this nice looking bull flag here. So where's the anchored VWAP? The anchored VWAP's right here. So if we can get over, what's that, like 73 cents? That's interesting. So let me go OGN and stop would be 44. And the thing is, these things are so volatile, which is another thing I like about them. So you can trade them so big or so small. Oh, Binance is often the most trading volume. Okay. I'm looking more for the furthest back than anything. Now, I will say Trade Ideas is working on crypto. It's not going to be anytime soon, right? I don't want you to email them and say, oh, I heard Michael talking about that they're going to do crypto. Where is it? It's, they have a bunch of work to do, but we're in talks of doing it. And I like the way that we've decided to do it over at Trade Ideas, where we're going to combine the prices. So there's going to be, you look up ApeCoin, there's going to be one price for ApeCoin. It's going to be across all these different securities. So you don't have to go exchange by exchange, and some have different data, and that would affect indicators and blah, blah. It'll be like, here's the master price, right? And then we kind of go from there. So yeah, OGN, just interesting, very simple looking bull flag. Whatever happened in through here is very strong. But as I was saying, I really like these because I like the concept of how small you have to trade them, right? How volatile this is, right? So you're basically risking 50% of your money on this trade. So of course you're not going to buy it with your whole account. That would just be ludicrous. But the fact that if it gets up to these prior highs, you're doubling your money. So that 2-to-1 risk reward is still there. You're just making sure that you can trade it so small. And again, I think even if you're not comfortable with trading crypto, and even if you don't believe in crypto and you think the whole thing's a Ponzi scheme, I think playing with it is going to be the best way to do it, right? I doubt if Bitcoin is, if all of crypto is an entire Ponzi scheme, I don't think it's just going to be snap your fingers and everything goes to zero overnight. It's going to be like most things where it's going to have a slow declining death, and you'll have a chance to more than get out as long as you're trend following and trading with relative strength is kind of what I like to preach. So what I'm scanning through here, just because I had a question on the channel, I read every comment, right? So again, if you're new here, welcome. But I do videos a few times a week. I do a midweek video. I try to do 1 or 2 educational videos a week. Those will pick up more now that Jess is home with the baby, but we just need a few weeks to be able to make sure that we're sleeping. She's really good at editing and doing all that, things that I am not. But any comments, I read any of them. Video suggestions, you can hit me up on Twitter as well. I'm just Michael Noss CMT on Twitter. I need to get like graphics so I can hit buttons when I say things like that and they pop up. But Atom is something I've been watching for a very long time. I've taken a handful of trades in Atom. I don't really think I made any money with it, but I don't think I really lost any money with it. It's one of those things that this thing is just kind of, it's chopping around. But as long as it holds this $20 area, I'm interested. If we break and we close below this 20, that's kind of where I'm going to get out. And I have the arrows here just to show you why. You can see these going in through here and then popping, right? So it's just a very important area of support and resistance to this. Congratulations. Thanks, man. Good luck with my sleep. Yeah, I hear that a lot. It's one of those things that it wouldn't surprise me at all, right? To have bad sleep. But what's really getting me is the fact that he's just no sleep. Like when he's awake, he's screaming, and it's like we've got an appointment with some doctors. He's gaining weight and he's eating and all this, so everything's fine. But I just think there's something like gassy or something. But we'll figure it out. I'm very thankful that I have the ability that Jess can stay at home for as long as she wants, and then B, when I'm working, I'm still working from home so that I can if I'm not in a meeting or doing anything like that, right? If she needs to catch a Z, she can wheel him in, and I can already teach him how to stare at charts. I'm going to share this one on Twitter too. I really like the look of this mana. Is just super interesting. I've shared this a handful of times. It just huge support in this level around $2. We have this declining trend line here. Technically speaking, right, you should probably wait for the anchored VWAP to get broken, but that's really high up. Again, I'm just looking for the cryptos that are holding. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. Yeah, so sorry, just looking at Bitcoin here. again, bear flag until proven otherwise, right? So if we break the bear flag, where am I going to look? Right, this is the obvious area right here, right? You're talking 30,000 on the nose. It bounced a few times there. That's the area. If we break and hold below 30,000, this might be what they call in the biz a stage 4 decline, right? So basically, there's a lot of, come on, loading, no more data. Okay, fine. Let's do this drawing tool, right? So you have, generally speaking, what they call stage 1, which is accumulation. Then you have stage 2, which is rally, right? Or, yeah, it's probably easier here. It's a better picture here, right? So this would be phase 1, which is accumulation, phase 2, which is a rally, phase 3, which is a distribution, phase 4, which is a decline, right? And there's a lot of people that are making the argument that that's what's happening here on the SPY, that you had, right, the accumulation, the rally, and now you're having the distribution and then the decline. So again, we have to do like 4 things until that's happening. But with BTC, I'm just kind of looking at, I'm just looking at this. It's a bear flag. If it continues to break down, right, 30,000 seems like your first kind of reasonable target. Below 30,000, I think we're getting into that scary territory that things might push down from there, right? So that's the crypto space. Now, if we go into regular currencies, which is something that I watch because it's something that I dabble in as well. As a CMT, as a chartist, as a quant, I just trade. I trade everything. I don't hold a bias. I don't, right? I'm not a diamond-handed ape or a perma bear or a perma anything. So if it moves based off the governance of supply and demand and there's a chart, I will trade it. USD, continued strength. I've had this note for a while. The StatSedge Pro people will tell you I drew in this rounded bottom back in November, and ever since then we've just been grinding up. So the dollar looks good, and anything that is, tangential to the dollar looks good. It's why I haven't done much in the way of forex trading recently, because basically if it's denoted in dollar, it's been going in one direction. I did actually, so I had this note in the StatSedge trading yesterday where I shorted some Aussie since we closed kind of below this swing low. That was fantastic yesterday. Let's see if we can get into this zone to start taking some covers. I had this original bull flag setup in the dollar yen. It's pulled back since then, so I'm now out of that. And then there's not really much else that I was looking at. I feel like I left a lot on the table, shorting both Euro and GBP, especially GBP. I was taking kind of scalps every time we hit this anchored VWAP, and we would bounce off it. Again, can't catch them all. One of those things, right? You always leave. If you get out early, if you get out early, you're like, man, this thing always goes forever. If you hold for a big win, it always comes back and gets you. So I followed my rules on exit. And that's just the way it is. So this being said, now intermarket stuff is always weird. So let's take a second and just look at intermarket stuff when it comes to this different kind of trading, FX, right? And if you like this kind of boring talk, YouTube yells at me to yell at you guys to hit like on the thing. So that would be fantastic. I never have the numbers up, so I don't know if I'm even here by myself, but more likes the better. So basically, US dollar has been strong. So everything denoted in US dollar has basically been weak, with a couple exceptions. One being the Australian dollar, which let go yesterday, and the other being the Canadian dollar. Now, the reason for that, as a Canadian, but it's the same with the US dollar, is that we are what they call petro currencies. So Canada makes most of its money from oil, right? We have some gold and we have some other resources, that kind of stuff. Oh, there's someone here. Hey, Michael, new sub from Iran. Hey, man, isn't that crazy? I'm sorry, I'm an old man, but it's just crazy that you're just like, you're way over there and we can just chat real time on the internet. Again, when I was born, there's 56K modems, so congrats, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Leave feedback with anything you like or don't like on the channel. So basically what I'm saying is that I think that the Canadian dollar has held up strong. You have to inverse this chart just by the way they quote USD CAN, but it's been basically holding up strong, even though the US dollar has been really strong, and I think that's just because oil's strong. So if oil lets go, then I think you've got a massive potential here in the Canadian dollar for a short, because you've got this massive rounded bottom going on here. So if we can ever get above this kind of 128, 129 area, maybe this thing kind of rallies a bit. I always like when I'm talking about the Canadian dollar, I like to show my bias because I have a lot of money in US dollars because I trade US equities. My consulting gigs and everything I charge US dollars for. So a strong Canadian dollar for me personally isn't a big kind of push. It'd be good for me. It's bad for my country, but it's good for me if the Canadian dollar falls. And again, anytime I have a bias in anything, I just want to tell you guys it kind of outright. But that's really the only thing that I see that's interesting in the Forex kind of world right now, other than the Aussie dollar. But again, I'm in that, so I don't want to really, talk about that too much. It's a pleasure to have you. 56K was fast using 14.4. Yeah. Well, for me, so again, I'm 35. So for me, it was, I was just getting into like StarCraft and things like that when it was like your sister would pick up the phone and kick you off the internet. So I don't know. Sometimes I just get amazed that, there's people from all over the world and we can hang out and talk stocks together. Okay, so I'm worried about Bitcoin. Not worried, but I'm short, so it would benefit me. But Bitcoin's strength, I guess, is in question. And if that falls, the other ones might. But that's why I'm just continuing to make a note of what cryptos are holding up strong. When it comes to FX, the dollar continues to be strong. The only thing that hasn't reacted with the strong dollar has been Canadian dollar, which again, if we end up, I'm going to remove that AVU app, if we end up kind of letting go here and this rounded bottom works, then this thing could rocket. If this rounded bottom fails, then obviously we could go towards par as well, right? So just keep that in mind. But again, there's my bias. I'm kind of hoping that we get a weak dollar, because if, say we get two... if we get two kind of pullbacks in that would be good for me, right? So, hold on, the wife's asking about supper. She's ordering supper, so... I got to respond to that instantly. All right. So now into the stock market. And what a week it was. Oh, I didn't mean to remove all those. That's fine. I'll redraw them. So what I've been talking about in the SPY, and I know it's incredibly boring and insanely repetitive, but we've got this 420 level below, which has been, a very important area going back a very long time. And then we've had this 460 area above, and we had a little bleed through up through here. So I've been saying for a long time, as long as we are above 420, I don't think you can be insanely bearish. And as soon as we get below 420, that's when I would begin to worry. So the when it comes to that, you're still in wait mode. Now, we did have 2 incredibly negative days, but we're right into this support right here. So the question is, will we just poke right through? Will buyers come in that, kind of FOMOing this level? They said, oh, I really missed, this big push last time. Right? I don't know. But really, I think it's a very simple call here. It's all eyes on 420. Now, that's the overall market, right? And I always want to make it clear that the overall market and how we trade are 2 different things. But again, the reason I do this analysis, I want to make sure that all of these things are. I know what playground. I think that's Chicago Sean told me that. Coined that phrase for me. Is I want to know what playground I'm playing in. So we are at a point in the SPY where everyone's going to be incredibly, incredibly nervous down here. However, right, the stuff that we have been involved in is, we've been in some VRTX. I obviously am out of that now, but SSRM, right, we've been in. You can see the kind of entry points from here. I can't remember. There's a handful of WRB, right? We were in WRB from right around here, right? So basically what I'm going to do is going to be the same. I'm going to look for relative strength. I'm going to continue with relative strength. But if the market's going to go into full crazy bear mode, then, things will be adapted some, which basically means me doing way less. I just know that's a question I always get is, what are you going to get if we go into a bear market mode? What am I going to do? Well, the answer is usually way less than I'm doing right now. Just because it's one of those things, there's times to trade heavily and there's times to do nothing. And if we're going to be crashing, then there's going to be times to do nothing and wait for a strong industry to arrive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through my ETF list, and just so you guys know what I'm looking for is I'm looking for, as a relative strength trader, so those who are new, my concept with the market is that I want to just be in the strongest names, regardless of what those are. I want to be in the strongest stocks. Actually, let's go here, and I'm going to use this list, and I'm going to do position in 5-day range. Right, I want to be, and so the way to be in the strongest names is to buy the strongest names. Right, and that's as simple as that is. Again, so what you see me use is TrendSpider, which I use for cryptocurrencies and for FX, and then Trade Ideas, which I use for my stocks, and it's also how I auto trade things and place orders and all of that. Link in the description below will take you to my website, and it'll also take you to a page that has access to these tools. And those, again, full disclosure, are affiliate links in through there. So the strongest that I have on my little sector list is UUP. So just to finish my rant on what I'm looking for there is simply I want to find the strongest names. I always want to find the strongest names. The idea being that those are the names that are more likely to continue, right? A lot of people want to bottom pick like Netflix, or they want to bottom pick GameStop, or they want to, bottom pick Peloton or one of these, like these junky stocks that are going down. My theory on the market is just, why don't I buy stuff that's going up? And knowing that hedge funds and institutions and everything are much more likely to sell things that aren't working than to sell things that are, just simply, right? You could, a lot of reasons, but one of them is just the tax implications of it, right? If you sell a security that you're holding for a loss, you don't pay tax on it. And if you're selling a security you hold for a gain, you do. So if you've got a loser on the books, it kind of makes sense to get out of that and then to cycle maybe back into something that would win, right? I always say, I think the most harmful saying on Wall Street is buy low, sell high. I do the complete and other opposite. I buy high and I hopefully sell higher. UUP, again, we talked about that. That's the strongest out there. XLRE is interesting. So real estate. I'm going to look at BRK.B. BRK. Berkby. Right? He sold off on Friday, but you can see how much relative strength there is in Berkshire Hathaway as opposed to the overall market, right? Sticking with what's strong, even though what is strong is incredibly boring, it's, I'm going to be in the strong stuff, even though it's the boring stuff. I don't, I would rather if Peloton and Zoom and all those things were doing the best, because that'd be the most, they move the most. They're higher beta, they're higher volatility stocks. But if the boring stuff is the stuff that's going up, that's the stuff I'm going to play with. So oil here is something we need to continue to watch. As I go through these ETFs, I know some people ask why. The idea between going through these ETFs is that, I like the look of oil here. So that means that when I'm scanning, if I see some oil names that I think could continue, I'm more likely to put them on a list and to trade them, just because they're in a sector that's doing well and it's an individual stock that's doing well. All right, so we're going to go oil bull flag, because if this thing breaks out, that could be a strong move on that one. And then again, that would take all of these other things with us. Gold. All right, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete this. Gold is something I've been watching here for a while. Let me draw this out for you here. And then plunk. Bring that in. Curved, yeah. So if you look here on the weekly chart of gold, right, this thing's been a horrible investment for like 10 years. It's just been awful, right? Those crazy gold bugs that are holding gold forever are just having a real bad time, right? Massive, massive cup and handle potentially. And then we have this prior support acting as resistance. So I am going to watch gold to see if we can kind of get some strength, near above this level. Got a long way to go, but above this level, maybe that's going to represent this little resistance zone up here. Maybe that's going to continue higher. So maybe gold is setting up. So I'm watching kind of 185 on gold. And again, I don't trade these individual sectors. Just to reiterate, I want to know what sandbox I'm playing in, so that if I see a gold stock or a gold miner or something like that, I'll be more interested in playing that name. TAN looks awful, right? Just awful. If I just take a picture of this and we expand that out. Right, so if we just look at this TAN here, right, again, one of my favorite technical setups is just prior resistance acting as support and prior support acting as resistance. And that looks exactly like what's happening on TAN. So if TAN is going to just break down, then that means, right, we've already discovered two things that have a pretty good probability. Oil potentially going up, solar stuff potentially going down. So it's a way to play things right away, is just to make sure that we're kind of in that zone. So the biggest kind of bear case that I can make for the overall market, again, I made a bull case on Trader TV. I don't know if anyone watches Trader TV live, but if you do, I'm on there at 8:45 Eastern every Friday morning. I made a bull case. I basically said, I don't know if this is going to occur, but I just want to make the opposite case. The biggest bear case I could make for the overall market is the small caps here. So much ice cold water to wake me up, because I don't want to drink so much caffeine right before it's 4:40 my time. But yeah, we had the support in through here on IWM, and that looks like that's acting as resistance. And we are kind of breaking down out of that zone now. So, if that's occurring, then maybe we come all the way down to around here on IWM. And that means that we just had a big rounded top in the small cap. So IWM, for the people who don't know, represents small caps. So, companies that are, I believe it's under 10. Is it under 10 or under 2? Someone would know. Billion in market cap. So we'll do that, and then we'll put in a question mark. Because if that's the way we're going, that's got to pull down the rest of the market. Just has to. Stop. So that's kind of my scariest bear case for the overall market. Now, that's some sort of corporate action, so let's get that out of there on KIE. I don't know what that was, special dividend or something. Move that out. So this is one kind of shining beacon. This is something I've been talking about for a while. We broke back under this area, but when it comes to strength, KIE is one of the most interesting out there. So KIE is just your insurance companies. So think like Progressive and Allstate and what is it, Bro or Bros? I keep forgetting. One of them is an insurance company and one of them is like makes chips or something. So this is one kind of shining beacon to look at, although again, an ugly close there a little bit on Friday. Silver looking way worse than gold, which makes sense. I think silver is a little bit more of a utility. Gold's not. The Qs not looking great at all. Communications just awful. Now, I know when people think communications, they think Twitter, Bro, and okay, there we go. Bro Insurance, Bros Coffee. Got it. So it's Bro. Probably doesn't look very good, or would have come up my scan. Yeah, it looks the same as the KE. It's got earnings, so nothing there. But yeah, when you think XLC, it's communications, but now it's pretty much predominantly taken up by Facebook and Twitter are the biggest holders here. It's no longer, like telecoms. So just FYI, it's another tech company. RSP. What does Bro insure Bros? Man, we're getting meta conversations. Kane, again, anything related in that way looks good. And that looks like that's it for the space. So, to summarize, right, it's 420 or bust still, right? We're watching the 420 area. If we hold 420 and we bounce, then we're still in a range, because right now we're still technically just in a range. If we break 420 and we hold, then this may be just a giant rounded top on the SPY. And it's time to get a little bit more bearish stance, which maybe I'll start opening up to some swing shorts. I generally don't like swing shorts as much, simply because they're way more dangerous than swing longs. So the risk reward gets a little bit skewed, and there's more risk and less reward. What I will do more of, like I always do, is I'll just hunt for relative strength and wait for the market to bounce, because this is something I talk about all the time. And let me see if I can find an example. Biggest rallies in bear. There's one thing that we know for sure. Is this one it? Just looking for basically what I'm looking for is there's the biggest rallies always happen in bear markets, right? It's just just the way it goes. It's not it either. But yeah, so you'll have a bear market, right? And the market will sell off, say the market sells off 50%. Yeah, here's one. That's 1930s. See if we have something a little bit more recent. But while the market is selling off, the bounces in the bear markets are always insane. So people think, okay, when I get to the bear market, now I just short stuff and it goes down. But it's just not the way it works. I'm not finding a clean example, so let's just draw it. Right? So let's say when the market goes up, it goes up like this. Right? And a lot of people think, okay, when the market goes down, it will go down like that. But that's not true. Right? If the market goes up and it goes up like this, then when the market goes down, it goes down like this. Right? And I think part of the reason is that this is what causes the most amount of pain for people that are buy and holders. So what happens is that when the market is going up, it's going up, slowly and evenly with low volatility. And when the market goes down, it goes down with high volatilities, but you get massive, massive bounces. And I know I did this example in the Stats Edge Pro, one of our member webinars. Again, we have these private webinars once a month where I'll answer any questions that anyone has over Zoom. And I talked about this, that in bear markets, you get rallies that are 20, 30, 40% just, bouncers. And I think what they're there for is to clean out the shorts and to give a little bit of hopes to the longs so that they continue to hold their longs as the thing makes new and repetitive lows. So personally, how I trade when we're in volatile and bear markets is I sit back and I make a list of heavily shorted names, but also names that are holding up. Don't have to be heavily shorted, but I find that helps sometimes in bear markets. But basically, I just continue to do what I always do, which is I look for relative strength. And the simple question I ask myself, and when we're about to do the scanning in a minute, and this is when you can also ask questions, is the one question I'm going to ask myself is, what are they not selling off? And, I went full screen for dramatic purposes here, right? It's a simple question is, okay, they sold off the market the last 2 days. What didn't they sell, right? Where are institutions either adding money into, or where are they not selling their holdings? Where are they saying, the whole market sucks, but I'm going to keep this, right? Because my theory is that when the market rallies, that the things that they didn't sell are going to rally harder. Or if the market continues to sell, the things that they're not selling are going to move down less, right? If you were buying in 2008, which is, that was near the start of my trading career, if you were buying financials, you were getting destroyed. But if you were buying oil and things like this, oil went up to $150 a barrel. There was all of these different industries that did well, even in the 2008 financial collapse. So the same thing, again, if we could just bounce from 420 and go to the moon. I don't know, right? I wait for the market to tell me what's happening, and then I react to that. I don't try to predict. But I'm just saying, if that's what's going to occur, I am going to be just building a list and waiting. Because say, right, we sell off, and then the market starts to turn, and it looks like it's found a little bit of a bottom, it puts in a base, and it starts to rally, like something that occurred in through here, right? The Stats Edge Pro guys will say that in through here and this bump, I had a great, great time. I would come into the room pretty much every day and say, well, I'm basically fully invested at this point and everything's going up. So I don't have, I'll add a stock or two, take some profits, but I didn't really have much to do. Because as we were basing and holding support here, I was buying, and again, I was buying the stuff that they weren't selling. Like I was buying WRB, right, which in that same area was looking like this, right? They were not selling this name off. They were holding this name strong while they were tanking the market. So then when the market bounces, right, this thing gets a nice little push up. So that's, again, my plan. If I'm right, and and if we break 420, and if things look a little bit bad, then same thing occurs. I'll go through my list. I will remove things from the list that they sell off. I will keep the stuff they don't sell. I will wait patiently for the market to rally a bit. And then we're going to be invested in what hopefully is the strongest sectors and the strongest names at the time. So now is the time where if you guys have charts that you guys want me to look at, you can go right ahead. I'm going to load in my watch list here. And we're going to quickly go through the watch list and see what we're going to remove from it first, which is always step one, right? What do we take off the list? I bet you there's going to be a lot. So like CSV, we're going to take that off the list. Egypt, I keep calling it. We're going to keep that on the list. I really like the look of this one. Again, the theory with this EYGP, I just keep calling Egypt in my head, is we have a massive area of importance here. We had a big, strong push up, and then we had a pull back, and we've been basing in that area. You see I drew an anchored VWAP from these highs, kind of keeping us down. So if we can close above that anchored VWAP, that's where I'm really going to kind of look to pile in there. We got earnings coming up that I got to watch out for. Again, no idea what this company or most companies do, but if we can break and hold that with enough time before earnings that I think there's enough time to make some money, then we can, I think we could get going here. So I'm going to keep that one. This SGI's got to go. And again, this is just the way it works for me, right? We had this level of importance. We broke out of this level. We pulled back to it. I put it on watch. If we were to start moving this way, I'm going to buy it. And we start moving this way, I just go, okay. Right? It doesn't cost me anything to put it on a watch list, right? IC, same thing, right? We'll just keep making a list, right? Hasn't mentioned this, since Brett isn't here, to double salt. You want me to look at ATEK. Okay, ATEK. Oh, I already had that channel drawn. Looks like it broke out and then broke down and then broke out and then broke down again. I don't know, looks okay. But yeah, you've got a clear area right here, kind of 1330, and you've got earnings coming up in a bit. If it can get over that 1330, maybe that's interesting. Another easy way to do it, if you just want to quantify it, right, that's interesting too. So this one's interesting to me. Remind me of this one. I'm not going to add it to the watch list now, but if it can get over its anchored VWAP from these highs and close, you can see it hasn't really been able to close above that. So if it can close above that 1330 area with earnings out of the way, it's an interesting looking one. Docs is interesting. I'm still going to watch this one as long as it holds above this level. Just a chop fest. Again, same. I'm a creature of habit, right? Anyone who's followed me for any length of time knows I make little tweaks as I learn and I grow, and I will always learn and grow as a trader. But again, prior resistance, acting as support. If we can push off, I like it. If we break down under, I hate it. And that's why I love these things. I've got a clear level. I don't have to guess. I don't think I'm smart enough to guess, basically. JKOS, I was just trying to play for a little cup and handle pattern. That's breaking down, so we'll move that. When the markets chill, there's not a lot that I do to these watch lists. When the markets are crazy like this, I will cycle through them quite a bit because... right, DY, for example, I was looking for this to break up. It didn't. Down it goes, off the list, onto the next one. WWE, I think I am in some of this, full disclosure, but I'm going to keep it on the list. Again, just prior highs right here, acting as support and through here. I think I took some at like 61.5 in this area. And I think my stop's just under this, worst case stop under this. But if we close, under 60 is probably where I'll kill it. But just like the fact, again, relative strength. Like, remember, so while I'm doing this, right, put this chart, especially these last, week or so, in your mind, right? Keep that in your mind. While now I'm very much hoping that because I've been playing some with the Canadian market. I don't know if there's any interest to adding the Canadian market stuff I'm doing into Stats Edge trading. I think there's one Canadian in there, and he only trades Forex mostly. But I've just been playing a little bit more with it, and I've been doing that with TradingView, and I've actually asked TrendSpider for this, where this chart on the bottom is just showing the relative strength of the security, and this is versus the TSX. I like this. I want this. Actually, let me save a picture of this to send to their CEO. Right? This, anything above 1 just means stronger than the market. Under 1 means it's less strong, but also it's just relative performance to the market. Basically, that's just an easy way to do what I just told you to do, which is to keep in mind what you're seeing in the market, what you're seeing in these charts versus the market. So this VTR, same thing. I was trying to see if it's going to hold this prior high. It didn't, so it's time to kill that off the list too. CHKP, I actually had some of this and I got stopped out on Friday, so I'm going to kill that one. So our list is going to be near nothing. AIG, I'm going to get rid of that as well. Yeah, we're going to have near nothing on the list, which is fine. And this one, I still like the look of it, but it's got earnings in 4 days, so I should just get rid of that too. So we have 3 stocks on our list. So we'll go through the scans. We'll see if there is anything there. But who knows if there is. All right, so I'm going to do some scanning here. I'm going to use both TrendSpider and Trade Ideas for this. Each have different strengths when it comes to scanning. Just trying to see. Again, my goal is what are they not selling? That's the theme. Fizz Natural Beverage Company. That's interesting. MIRM. So that's a pharmaceutical name. When the market's selling, you'll notice a lot of things like pharmaceutical names become very interesting. Simply just because they trade more on their own merits than individual names. So this one's interesting. So I think I'm going to actually add this to the list, right? Doing the same thing that we're looking at, where we're looking for. So earnings is May 5th, so that's 10 days, 2 weeks away. Again, just looking at right, prior resistance in through here, potentially acting as support right here. If this thing can break up, let's say 26.50, and then you're wrong at like 24.50. 26. Right, very simple play. I'm a simple man. I do the same things over and over again, knowing sometimes they will work and sometimes they will not work, and that's just the nature of trading. And you got to keep hammering away at the same thing. Oh, dark mode just turned on everything, so it must be 5. It's one thing I've got set up on this Mac, where at 5 it switches to dark mode as kind of a hey man, it's time to stop working. But it's Saturday, so we're going to go through. Just trying to see if I have any other scans going on through here. Oh, I hear faint crying of Charlie. Little faint screams. Fate screams. Phase 3 due in Q2. It's binary events. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. If you have an exact date for that, let me know. But until then, I'll just keep going as is. GoGo is interesting, but just a choppy name. Another pharmaceutical market scanner. This is one that I'm done when I'm done refining. Will be on the site. That's another. That's another advantage to the Stats Edge Trading Pro is that you get access to all of the scans that I have now. Full disclosure, more and more of those are just coming into the Market Explorer, just because it's a great tool to build scans. Anything that I'm using within TrendSpider, I hope to migrate into the Market Explorer relatively soon. A lot of stuff going on May 5th, I've noticed here. Pinnacle West is going to be boring. INCY might be interesting. Dominion Energy, a lot of like, oh, there's WWE. Anytime I see a stock that I'm in or already have on the list on a scan, that makes me feel good. Because these scans have some sort of, every scan I run has some sort of statistical merit to it. Let's grab this. So this scanner here that I'm using, this is just part of the Market Explorer, which is a new kind of scanning thing that we have in Trade Ideas that I'm able to like really customize things like way more deeply than most other things that you can do. I can go like super, super deep. So this is just looking for bull flags. So everything you see here will have some type of a push up and then some sort of consolidation, tight consolidation going on. It's 27th. That one has earnings. You can also look right up here, and this will give you the earnings. And then you can also look up here, and it will tell you what sector or what the company does, which I really like. Also, it's right in through here, right? So this is an educational services company. It has earnings on May 5th. There's that May 5th again, May 5th. Note that down on your calendars. Looks like that might be a big day. And I'm just going through and I'm scanning through. I'm just trying to figure out what's coming. This blue, I'm in. I'm in from here. I thought I was genius. I thought I was going to get stopped out, and then I'm like right back where I was. So this one's been a bit of a ride. So basically just looking through these bull flags, trying to see what's going on. So May 4th for earnings. We're kind of, what does the calendar look like? So when's May 4th? So we get all of next week. Yeah, and then Wednesday the week after. So like that's got to be May 5th. It's got to be my cutoff. And it might get to the point where we scan through all this and we find nothing. And that's part of it. And that's something that I try to preach. And I hope I'm doing a good job with the people of Stats Edge Pro. I know there's definitely some people who sign up, join in, realize that I'm not just trading all the time every day and go, what the hell is this? And then leave. But it's just not the way it works. Now, for day trading and stuff like that, have at it. But for swing traders and for investors and more longer term focused people like myself, that's one of the talents that you need to build of this is just not the time, right? This is the time to build your list, make sure they're really good quality setups that you're interested in. If the market looks like it's going your way and the stocks look good, fire off, have at it. In the meantime, do nothing. And they even came after Oxy. Oxy's been like the strongest name out there for a long time. I think ever since it was disclosed that who was it? Was it Icon that sold Oxy to Buffett or something like that? For you penny stock guys, that one looks interesting. RIPT. Not really big. Oh, earnings soon though. Not really big penny stock guy. Save, I like the look of, right, but it's just earnings is too close. So again, I don't know how well that yellow shows up for you guys on stream, but one thing that I love that Trade Ideas does is it shades this in yellow when earnings is close, and then it turns it to red when earnings is like immediate. So I can just look. I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that save looks interesting. We had a big strong push up, and now we have this nice consolidation in through here. If it breaks that consolidation, it's got a shot to break through this resistance, and away it goes. But right, earnings in a few days, so I just can't bother. Seed is from China. There's no way. What was it dogs yesterday? Which is hilarious. People saying, oh, swing trading, I have to hold overnight, and that's so dangerous. It's like, yeah. I think this thing got halted somewhere here midday and then opened up at $2, so you lost half your money during the trading day. So for me, I just avoid Chinese ADRs right now. There's just been too much of them seemingly intentionally tanking their marketplace. Not to get into any politics, I don't care. So I'm going to take a second to talk about Twitter. People might not give a shit about my opinion of Twitter. I know it's been talked to death, but I just feel it's important to put like a PSA out there where a lot of people are buying Twitter now, waiting for like some squeeze or giant move or something. There's basically 3 outcomes with this, right? One, Elon gets his way and it gets bought out at $54. Well, it's at 49, call it $50 right now. There's not a lot on the table. It's like 10% gain there. So that, wouldn't make sense to buy that there. 2, they poison pill, reject him, all this kind of stuff. He sells his 10% holdings, the thing's tanks. That's not good either. 3, and this is a very slim margin, that somebody else comes with a higher bid, maybe 60, and there's a little bit of money to be had there. I get it as like a shorter term trade. Let's do like a 30-minute. I actually saw Brian Shannon talking about this. It's just, again, Brian Shannon is a personal trading mentor of mine. That's actually his book, signed copy right there. And he was kind of talking about, I think he did an Anchored VWAP. He's also the one that's convinced me we had a chat, to really dive into this Anchored VWAP. And you can see, yeah. So this is the average market participant price since the buyout news. You can see, again, we have these equal highs right here, and then we have this right here. And he's kind of arguing a buy above maybe this range here with a stop below as just a little tiny swing, maybe 2 or 3 day hold. But for me, again, earnings and those scenarios that I put out where there seems to be way more bad scenarios than good, and the good scenarios aren't that much. So I know someone who said Baba was low risk at 300. I've not seen him in a while. Yeah. There's been a lot of those. I know a guy who was kind of pounding the table at Peloton like 100 or 150 about how it was a great company. And I said, it's an iPad strapped to a bicycle. He was up here talking about what a great pullback this was. I hope he's okay. Right? There's a lot of that out there, which is why I just never get involved in the story. I just show me the chart. I want to buy the one that's going up. I want to get some sort of pullback into it, and I want to shut everything else out. Anchored VWAP is the future. For sure, I'm trying to get some sort of scanning for Anchored VWAP built into trade ideas. I want to get like my quant hands on it. I want to start testing strategies and ideas. One thing that I'm doing, the scan that I'm going to be sharing to Stats Edge Trading people, is a kind of a strategy I came up with Anchored VWAP. I haven't been able to rigorously test it as much as I want, but when that's complete, I'll be sharing that in the next meeting. My dad with computer questions. It's a horrible fate to be the tech savvy child. I think he thinks Google's going to come kick his ass because Google Drive's full. But yeah, I agree that Anchored VWAP definitely has something to it. It's again, I always want to reiterate, there's no indicator out there that has magic. I think the reason that Anchored VWAP may work on top of a lot of these other ones is that there's a bit of discretion to it. But I also think you can build rules-based trading approaches to it. And as soon as you can build rules-based trading approaches to it, then it's something that makes sense, right? It becomes a fair trade soon. Give your parents your kids. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I know there'll be a time where I'll be doing the same thing, right? Everyone will be having VR headsets or some crazy stuff that I don't understand. And I'll be emailing Charlie saying, how do I turn my my metaverse on? Right? It's just the nature of it. Large institutions use AVWAP too. Yeah, it's a way that institutions like pay themselves. So again, I like the concept because it is anything that I can boil down systematically and then kind of put my flair on it. So like this trade never ended up being a trade. I never ended up taking this, but this VTR that I showed you guys, the idea is, right, you basically wait for, right, you've got this prior high, and if you go back, right, you've basically got these two prior highs, break out, and then we pull back to that. And as long as that's acting as support, I'm interested. Right now, I didn't take the trade and I didn't went through. So then the question is, okay, what is the trigger point? And this is one thing that I've been using Anchored VWAP a lot for. And this is what I want to start testing and systematizing to make sure that it works. Is instead of making because the actual scan and the look of the stock is subjective, right? That's a subjective part of it. But I always like to objectify the entry and the exit because that's where emotions take place, right? I can sit here laid back in my chair. If I wasn't hanging out with you guys, I'd have I think CoffeeZilla is still debating Safe Mooners, and I had that up earlier, and it was absolutely hilarious. I'd have that up, I'd have one foot on my desk, and I'd just be scanning through stocks. I can find the stocks, and especially with something like a powerful scanning tool like Trade Ideas, I can go through hundreds and hundreds of charts a day. So that part's fine. Where the emotions get involved is the objective entry and exit. So those are where I want to kind of systematize the trading. So my idea was, you draw an Anchored VWAP from this high as it's pulling back. When you get a close over that, that's your entry, because just makes sense. The average price from this high is now been violated. and then your stop is under that low, and just a way to say, okay, I'm going to enter when this happens, I'm going to exit when this happens. That's the only reason I like indicators. Again, I'm not you buy a MACD cross or you do this or that. It's the same thing I talk about with like RSI divergence. An RSI divergence may be a way to look at and say, okay, the momentum may be slowing here, but now I need to come up with some sort of reason or logic that I'm going to take the trade the way I am. I think we're in one of those things where I'm just going to get mad every time. So I looked at this, I was like, oh, this AYX, whatever this is, looks interesting, right? Big rounded bottom here. So we got a potential, cup and then maybe a handle going on here. Maybe if we break out, that'd be a good trade. And then, it's earnings on the 3rd. So there's a couple weeks every quarter where this happens to me, and it's obnoxious, but it's just the nature of the beast. CLF is interesting, right? It's in that boring materials kind of a thing where it's holding nicely. Right, long-term chart looks great. I love these line charts we have in Trade Ideas now. I love line charts for really long-term charts because I don't need to see every wick on the weekly chart. I just don't. But yeah, just choppy days. If it calms down a bit, maybe. And again, I'm going to go through this scan. I'm probably going to go through, I'm already way past. Okay, let's do another couple here. Let's do the strong stock pulling back here. See if we find anything. And then I'm not going to push it. I've got 4 stocks on watch. And if it just means I have a lazy Monday, then it means I have a lazy Monday. Who cares? I'm not gonna. And again, I know it's hard. I need to do a better job of communicating with the people in Stats Edge Pro that it's like, it's not that I'm lazy. I'm not a lazy guy. It's just that I've learned over the long run that when you force yourself to trade because you think that you have to in order to make money, those trades end up costing you the most amount of money. If I could have back every dollar I lost in a boredom trade, I would be probably not here talking to you guys now. And if I could have every dollar I had back when I'm like, I hadn't traded in a while, I should do something here. Certainly, if I had every dollar back from every boredom and revenge trade, I would be on a large boat somewhere fishing or something. So I hope I can impart that knowledge to you guys because, yeah, it's very much if there's nothing to do, do nothing. And it doesn't mean that you do nothing. It doesn't mean that you just, play Elden Ring all day, which I am still addicted to. It means that you do something else. So what I'll do is I'll work on that VWAP strategy. I'll start playing with that a little bit more. It means that I will, play with more strategies. I'm going to record more videos. I'm going to, even simple things like I've got a pull-up bar over there, right? Like work out your body, meditate, work out your mind, do all these things. It's way better than just trying to slam dollars into the market. when you say I was busy playing Elden Ring. I gotta finish that thing, man. I gotta get it out of my life. It's like the baby finally goes to sleep, and I'm like, okay, I should go to sleep. But then this is also a few minutes that I could play Elden Ring, and it's just that's not. It should be go to sleep, Mike. This is interesting. May 10th. Earning each interesting looking bull flags. Life Sciences. I like the look of this one. I think I'm going to add it. Oh, there. All right, same simple idea. We got a prior high up here. That's acting as support in through here. If we can get over, all right, so like, I don't know, even 23. Yeah, if we can close over 23 and then we got to stop 22, that's interesting. 23, 22. Trigger warning if you have dogs. My dog might lose its mind. Amazon's here. I've got, when I live out in the woods, I have Ring. What ticker is that? RNG? Is that Ring? Oh, yeah, it's not doing well. I've got those cameras just all over the place in the woods and out in the backyard. And so I get alerted on all my devices when someone shows up. So I know, because my dog will see him anyway. I just like to know beforehand so I don't get too scared. Go's pullback is interesting. I don't really see a support zone in through here, but right, this thing came up. I like when this pullback happened at an obvious level. So now this is just a giant kind of cup going on here in Go. So it hits this high and then it pulls back. So if it bases here for a while and then pops up, you may get a little bit of, it may, be on its way to the next kind of resistance zone in through there. So I'm going to keep that one on watch. The problem is this is strong names that are pulling back. I'm not too clever with my names when I build the Market Explorer, but that's exactly what it is, just strong stocks that are pulling back. So right now, there's a lot of them, so it's taking me a while to go through this list. But at the same time, if you guys have any stocks you want me to look at, let me know. I know that most of the names are going to look the same, which is, getting shellacked. But that's just the nature of the market, right? There is more scanning work that has to be done in these more bearish markets. But then there's less trading work that has to be done because I'm not going to act. Most of these names that I'm finding, I don't think I'll end up acting on, because if the market's going to continue to sell, eventually these things that are holding little support zones or holding strong are going to crack. And my hope is that if they're going to crack, they just do so before I get in. Right? And that's the best case scenario for that, because if they crack before I get in, they don't cost me anything but time, And the fact, so when we're done this list, there's 287 stocks in this one list alone. So total, we've probably gone through together 500 stocks, and I've been live for an hour and 25 minutes. So when I tell people I go through hundreds and hundreds of stocks a day, or hundreds of charts, because I guess some of them are crypto and all of this. A lot of them get shocked and they're like, well, that's a lot. But eventually it's not really, right? So I look at this as these are kind of this is my rep, right? If you're, working out chest that day, you're going to do hundreds of push-ups or barbell press or dumbbell press or whatever. And it's no different when it comes to trading. This is my weekend workout is, um, I'm going through them. I'm looking at them. I know it probably looks really quick, but I've been doing this for many, many years. And I try to get themes from things like, what are the ones that are holding up, right? Like other investment pools, finance and insurance, right? I'm noticing a lot of finance names, a lot of software publishers for some reason are doing well. A lot of weird names like this. But then I've also noticed that you're talking like May 3rd to 5th seems to be the move, right? That seems to be when earnings is going to happen, that May 3rd to 5th area. So it just might mean I am going to be a little bit lazy until, right, here's another one. I liked the look of this one just because we're holding, right? We've got, what's that one? 139. And you can see it's a super important level, and we're just kind of basing right above it. But then we've got earnings May 4th. So there's just nothing I can do with that. That's too, for my time frame, that is too close. And that's just the nature of the beast. So it just might be lazy times until then. Schlumberger is kind of interesting here. Earnings is out of the way, so that's a positive. Just basing up, right? I'm looking at this weekly chart down here. This $40 area was important. We made it above, and then we're just kind of basing above $40. Same with, right, what we're looking at here, but it's just a choppy mess. Which, how many times have I said today that chart is interesting, but it's a choppy mess? So that's something else that in my head I'm really focused on, because if all of these names, even the ones that look okay, are choppy messes, then that just kind of tells me the whole market's a choppy mess. So it's not the time to really be swinging for the fences and pushing in on trades if the ones that I look like the best are choppy messes. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of clean trades. Right, even the uranium names have pulled back. This was a great little trade for a while. It took it out of this base, took it like a tiny bit, and then clunked right back down. That's another thing that I will say, that if we are in bear markets, I will be doing. Darn, looks good, but 3 days till earnings. That I will adapt when it comes to my trading is when we're in choppier markets, I will be way quicker to take profits in them. I just will, right? It's, you lock in a couple bucks if you get a couple bucks. All right, so I like the look of this VET. Good old Canadian stock here. All right, nice little push up. Now we're just kind of chopping around sideways. Long shot that it holds here, and then it gets up to 23.50, but if it does, it does. So we'll go 23.5 and then 20. Oil and gas, but 23.5, 20. So it will move if the USO does. ET. Now that we're into the V's, I know that we're we're getting close to the end of the list here. So if anyone has any stocks at all, I know this wasn't the most entertaining. I didn't find a whole lot of things that were interesting, but what do, right? What do? The market's the market. Yeah, even XLE is in there, utilities, XME, everything is pulling back. So to summarize, right, watch 420 on the SPY, right? Watch this area. If we hold and then we start to push up, right, we have head, shoulders, head. If that breaks, great. Maybe the people who are betting short on this market are going to cover, and we're going to get some sort of rip your face off rally. We'll find out more tomorrow when the futures open. But, it's time to start being a little bit cautious. If we start to bounce, we'll have our list, right? And that's how you guys trade however you want. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just some jerk on the internet. You guys decide to click on a stream. But what I do in scenarios like this, where the market's a little bit uncertain and maybe a little bit nervous, is I just hunt for relative strength. I found 6 names today that I think are good setups, and that's it. It's not a lot. But if we see some strength in the market and those names start to break out, then I've got 6 names that I can trade. And if they don't and everything sells off tomorrow, that's fine, right? Every trade I am in, I have committed that risk, and I've made sure that risk is small enough that I won't be upset if and when bad things occur. But there's nothing you can do at this point, kind of thing, right? So it's you have to trade your trade. You have to wait. You got to wait patiently. If you do have a short strategy that works for you, that's great. I may work to develop one, but again, I just find it's a harder side of the market for me. So, who knows? But anyway, guys, thank you for coming out. If you want to leave a like on the way out, that would be fantastic. I will be back next week. You're going to get some more content on the channel throughout the week. You're going to get a midweek wrap up on Wednesday. Hopefully another educational video sometime throughout the week. And now, hopefully, we get a little bit of sleep going on, and then I can lean on Jess to do some editing. If you have any ideas ever of videos you want me to make and topics you want me to go over, you can comment on any of the videos below. You can also look me up on Twitter. Just Michael Nas, CMT, real simple. You can find me there, and we can go from there. As you mentioned, I'm on Trader TV on Fridays at 8:45 Eastern. I go over just a little 5-minute segment there, a little topic. I like doing that. Those guys are really good Canadian boys. So hit me up if there's something you want to see, because if there's less trading to do, that means there's more time to be making videos and doing videos related things. So hit me up and I'll make some videos you guys need. For me, it's always the writer's block of what do I talk about, right? So I know some people want some live swing trading, like how I manage swing trade and stuff like that. I've got that planned. I just don't know if this is going to be the market environment for it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll start recording some entries and doing some stuff like that. But other than that, if you have ideas, certainly let me know. Again, thank you everyone for coming. Enjoy your weekend. Go outside. You can see even up in Canada, we got some sun. So I'm going to enjoy some of that and trade safe, guys.